we have left in matching funds. Call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. Call now, and we will also get a trivia question here in just a minute. Remember, we have that total goal of $125,000. We are so close, folks. We need a little bit more to get us to the end. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness, on 101.7 KJDM Lindsborg and Salina, 105.7 KMDG Hayes, 88.1 KRTT Great Bend, 88.1 KVDM Hayes, 89.1 KGOH Colby, and 107.3 K297AI Hill City. All right, getting ready to close it out. Stay with us. We are getting ready to start our last hour. So let's first get to that trivia question. All right, here it is. Call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. I just got really excited to be able to say these last questions. And for our last guest, going to be pretty awesome. Here's your question. Who did God call out of the land of Ur? Was it his son or... Hold on. This question is worded weird. Let me see here. Who did God call out of the land of Ur? His son was Isaac. Was it A, Abraham, B, Adam, C, Joseph? I had to look at it twice because I'm like, why is that written? So who did God call out of the land of Ur? His son was Isaac. And this is for those people 16 years of age or under. Was it A, Abraham, B, Adam, C, Joseph? Give us a call at 785-621-4110. All right, now, to close us out, we have a very special guest in here. So Caleb Marintzer, my son, my oldest, the one who is always saying, I get the double share of the inheritance. He is in here with us to talk about serving God and country. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if the place is going to blow up or why you would let two Marintzers in the same studio at the same time, both being in control of microphones. I don't know, folks. We'll see what happens here. So, Caleb, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. So, obviously, Caleb is my oldest son, 19 years of age. He recently just went to basic training, also went to AIT. I'll let him tell you a little bit about what AIT means, what it is, and everything like that. Obviously, born and raised here, went to Catholic schooling his entire life. Was able to say, hey, I want to go serve my country, and is doing that, is in the National Guard, and signed up for 8 years, I think, right?
Yep.
All right. So we'll see if that changes or not. We'll see what he does with his life. So pray for him, pray for me, but let's get into it. So question number one, let's look at, going into the military, coming right out of high school. I mean, first off, you want to talk to us a little bit about that process of what did it look like when you signed up? Were you nervous? Anything like that?
Yeah. So the process for me was pretty quick, actually. I had a great recruiter that I initially contacted somebody online, and then they texted me, called me, asked for my social security number over text message, and I didn't like that too much. So I got in contact with a more local recruiter, and she was really great, got me going real fast, got me enlisted about 2 weeks after I even started talking. So it was quick, really fast turnaround. So I didn't have a lot of time to process what I was doing. Still don't know why I joined, but we'll figure it out.
Okay, really quick break. I want to congratulate Claire Beasley, who is our trivia winner. Good job, Claire. Who did God call out of land of Ur? His son was Isaac. That would be Abraham. So nice job on that. We'll get you put into that drawing here in about 45, 50 minutes. And that is for that $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. We just had an anonymous donor who gave $1,000. So that becomes a $2,000 pledge with those matching funds. Right now, we're at $106,245 in pledges, and we have $1,903 left in matching funds. So I was a little bit off on that earlier, but we do have $1,903 left. Let's see what we can do to get that gone. Call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. All right, back to talking with Caleb Marintzer about serving God and country. So you sign up, right? You start going to your weekends and things like that. What was it like then to really hit the point after graduation where you were, okay, no, I got to go?
Yeah, that was terrifying. That's all I can really say. It was horrifying. Especially the week right before I left for basic training was the best week after I graduated. I was finally resolved. I'm like, it's going to happen no matter what. So here we go. The few weeks before that, but before that week and right after high school graduation, I've never been more anxious about anything. I was terrified. And I don't know why. Well, I know why. I've never left home for more than 10 weeks. 10 weeks. I've never left home for more than 10 days at a time. And so this was huge culture shock. So, but yeah.
Okay, so we get up to the day, getting ready to go. Do you want to talk a little bit about what was it like to head to processing, to head to get on the plane and get going there?
Yeah. So went to the airport, got held back. So we were at the airport for probably 12 hours, something like that, waiting on a flight. Get on my flight, say goodbye to my mom and dad for 10 weeks. Won't see them again for a while. That was kind of tough. But then we get on the plane. First time I've ever been on a large plane. I've been on some small planes before, but I've never been on a jumbo passenger plane before. So that was kind of cool. But it was a really short flight. It was like 50 minutes. And then we touched down, and the first thing I know when I get off that plane is I'm lost. And so I find a group of kids that are going to the same place as me, and we all kind of get things figured out. We figure out where we're going to go. We get to the place we're supposed to go. And the next thing we know, we're all getting screamed at, lined up against the wall. Nobody's allowed to talk. Nobody's allowed to move. And we were terrified.
I bet so, and rightly so. Very quick break again. Tammy Stewart, want to thank you for calling in and pledging $50. She's helping us get to that goal. That means that we have about $1,853 left to make it there. Keep calling in 785-621-4110. Let's get those matching funds used up, and let's get back to talking with Caleb Marintzer about serving our country and serving God. And we're going to get into some really good stuff here with the tie between those two. So get off the plane, start getting put in line right away. What's it look like from there?
From there, it's keeping your head down, do what you're told. They ushered us onto a bus, gave us all kinds of papers. They just threw papers at us, said, keep track of these. I don't know how I did. I'm honestly impressed I made it through there. Then you go we actually made it to the base at about 1 a.m. that night, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And they got us off, got us through processing. That took about an hour and a half. So it's probably, no, that can't be right. It probably took us an hour and a half. So I'd say we got at the base at about 11. Because then at 12:30 at night, they took us to our barracks. We were allowed to sleep for about 2.5 hours. And then they got us up at 3 to start the next day.
Wow.
And those first 3 days just consisted of standing in a line, getting yelled at. So, because we had to do all kinds of medical processing and stuff. And so I did get a lot of praying done. Some of it was through a little bit of tears. I got to admit that. But yeah.
Wow. So then through this whole process, and we can go into more of what it would look like later if we do have some time, but as you brought it up, got a lot of praying done. Some of it was frustration, probably. Some of it was, this is really tough. So what were your expectations then about living out your faith once you entered the military and, got into basic training? And when you got there, was it what you expected? As to, hey, I still want to be strong in my faith. How did things kind of turn out then as you get there?
So, I've grown up in Hays, Kansas. All this, but for the listeners, I've gone to Catholic school. Faith has always been just kind of taken for granted. I've never had to worry about it or anything. And I kind of figured the same thing I was like, yeah, it's the Army, it's the U.S. government, but they can't touch religion. Like, you can't touch God. So I'm like, surely they'll still let us practice our faith and stuff. And they did, but we really had to try for it. There wasn't much. The first Sunday I was there, they wouldn't let us leave our barracks. We were on lockdown pretty much. So I wasn't even allowed to go to mass that first Sunday. That was ridiculously tough. That ticked me off a little bit. But kicking me there. Yeah. Sorry. You work through it, and then they pretty much, for faith, we were allowed to have religious books. I had a Bible in my locker, a couple books. I meant to bring one of them with me because it's got a really cool prayer in it that I wanted to share, but I forgot it. So they allowed us to have religious items. They allowed us to go to mass on Sunday. And that's it. Other than that, it was training and training alone.
Okay. So I know that at one time when you called and you were talking to us, and it was a pretty cool moment. I remember you saying, my faith has grown a lot. And I was like, well, why is that? And do you want to explain, how your faith did develop and even grow while you were there, and why was that?
Well, part of it was, and it's kind of funny, I going to college, I got a couple friends in college, and I talked to them, and they've had a similar experience. Hopefully not as crazy as mine, but when you leave home for the first time after growing up with all of that, and you realize, shoot, I'm really on my own now. You kind of got to find a friend, and especially I didn't know anybody at basic training. So I found a friend, and the only person I knew. So I started praying more. It was kind of a Lord save me. It wasn't like I was just really deep into my faith. I was just terrified, needed something to go to. And so that started it, but then it just kind of built from there. Especially, I met all kinds of people, different religions. I met Buddhists, Muslims. I had some really good conversations with a Baptist that was in one of the bunks right next to me. And so I met people of all different faith. I kind of just expanded my knowledge of pretty much everything there is out there. And the more I learned about what's out there, the more thankful I was for what I started with, what I've been given. And the more I kind of started looking into my own faith as well, to especially when I love getting into little debates with these guys about their faith, my faith. And so, and it pushed me because I needed to know more in order to give them the answers they were asking for. And so,
yeah, that is really awesome. I want to jump in once again and thank Joyce from Lindsborg. So Joyce pledged $100. There's another $100 plus the $100 with our matching funds. We're getting there. Yeah, we're working really hard. Actually, you guys are working really hard. I'm just talking. Nice job. Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting us. Keep the prayers coming. Keep the donations coming. 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. All right, Caleb, I also want to ask you a little bit if you'd be willing to share. One time when I talked to you while you were gone, you had said that you started doing something with your rosary. And you said that you were doing something that I was like, wow, that is really cool. And I suppose in your time when you were praying rosaries, which you probably had plenty of time to do that, what was it that you started doing in praying your rosary?
So I gave myself a little challenge, and it was incredibly easy the first 5 rosaries I said with this. After that, it started getting more difficult. But every single prayer I said in that rosary, if it was the Fatima prayer, the Our Father, a Hail Mary, every single time I started a new prayer, I would ask for the intercession of whoever I was praying to at the moment, or I would just think of a person's name that I knew that I came in contact with, whether it was somebody at basic, whether it was my family, some of my old friends, people I knew from CYO, everybody I knew basically. And I just go through my mind, and this Hail Mary was for this person. This Hail Mary is for this person. This Hail Mary is for this. The Our Father's for my dad. The next Our Father's for my grandpa. And I just kept going down the list. I kind of started doing it in sequences. Like I'd say, set aside these 2 mysteries for all my family, these 2 mysteries for my extended cousins, because there's a lot of them, just to make it easier for myself. And it's amazing. I got through probably 10 rosaries without ever repeating a person's name.
Wow.
You just, once you start going, and you'll think of a group of people, and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh yeah, there's a whole nother branch. And you thank God for them every time. And It's great. Yeah, you realize how many people truly are in your life then, and you can thank God for all of them. It's kind of fun, really cool.
That is super awesome. Also, I know that you told me that really, and like you said, we didn't have anything else. So you got to read the Bible, and you said you got to read your prayer books. What did you find in through that of, hey, I got nothing else to do. This is the only book I have. So
Yeah,
let's dig into it.
I unfortunately have never been really good at reading scripture.
Yeah.
I need to get better at it. I'm trying to work on it. I just have not been good. I like action. I like things that I love reading the book of Judges, the book of Kings. I love reading those books, but I struggle reading like the Gospels because you get to certain parts, but there's not a lot of action in them, and I don't like that slow. And that's my problem is I'm not reading it like I'm supposed to be reading it. And I understand that I need to work on that. But yeah, when it came to, I didn't have anything else to read, so I just started in, and I didn't really have any profound moments reading the Bible, but I did have this one prayer book, and it had a really cool prayer in it to Saint Joseph, asking for, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was basically a 3-day prayer. They said, pray this prayer 3 days. And if you keep praying it daily, the little inscription at the bottom, it said, you will not experience a quick, unexpected death. Whatever you are praying for, if it be God's will come true. It will happen. And there was like a third promise. It was incredibly powerful prayer. I wish I had it with me. I meant to bring it. I forgot to bring it. But I read that prayer every day, sometimes twice, 3 times. And there was one kid I remember I especially struggled there. He has quite the backstory. I won't go into it because it's a long one. But he was struggling a little bit. He was raised Catholic, kind of wavering in his faith a little bit, not because of events, just he's on his own now. He's not forced to go, so he's more, I won't say he didn't care, because there was a part of him that did care, just not as much as he probably should have. And so I gave him this book, and I especially pointed to that prayer, and I said, this one's helping me a lot. There was prayers in there for courage, because it was tailored for soldiers.
Okay.
So it was really cool. There was prayers to St. Michael, obviously, and just all kinds of cool prayers. I gave that to him. I said, I would like this bag, but I don't need it back. If you want to keep it, you can go ahead and keep it. And he said, no, I'll get it back to you. And he kept it I gave it to him like the 3rd week. He kept it, and I watched him every night because he slept right across from me. Every night he'd pull that out, and he prayed those prayers until the end of basic training. So that was just a really cool
That is really awesome. Absolutely. I want to dig into some of that a little bit more too, because you told us, how frustrating it was, which is really awesome to be like, wait a minute, I missed not being able to go to mass. That wasn't cool. What was it like for the rest of your basic training? Were you able to go to mass? Was it hit and miss? And what were the requirements for you to be able to do so even?
Well, like I said, you can't touch God. They couldn't actually. So First Amendment rights and all that fun stuff. They had us on lockdown that first week because they had stuff they had to get done, understandably. After that, though, they had mass for us every Sunday, and we were allowed to go. There was one time we were in the middle of the drill sergeants giving us corrective action, is what it's called. A lot of people call it smoking. We were getting our butts handed to us. But I had to go to mass, and they couldn't stop me from going to mass. So I got out of that a little bit.
That's awesome. Going to see the Lord. Sorry you don't trump him. Wow. We are talking with Caleb Marintzer, my oldest son. It's great to have him in here. And he's talking about his time so far in the military, going through basic training, talking about the tie between serving God and country. And we're going to get right back to that. But I do want to remind everybody that as we're in our last hour here of our fall pledge drive, we are talking about being a light in the darkness. We have that total goal of $125,000. We're over $106,000. We've got about $1,800 or something like that left in matching funds. If you can help us use up those matching funds, call right now, donate. Your donation gets doubled. 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. All right, let's hop back into it. So were there moments then, Caleb, when your faith directly shaped how you approached leadership, discipline, decision-making while you were in basic training?
Yeah. Well, one big one was when it came to leadership in the military, there's a lot of yelling. There's a lot of kind of, I don't want to say unkindness, but you have to get stuff done and you don't have time to wait for other people. So there's not a lot of patience. There's no time really, understandably so. You got a job, you got to get it done. But there's not a lot of time for caring for other people. And I think that's kind of, I remember very specifically, I wanted to be in a leadership position. I was really never put in a leadership position. I don't know why that is. I think part of it was because nobody really saw me. I was pretty well invisible. Got pretty good at that. But also I couldn't, nobody really respected me on the level that they should respect a leader, because I was that guy that if they needed to talk to me about something, they could come talk to me. Usually I'm not that person, so that's kind of weird for me. But they were very much, I was that kind of kind guy. I was always helping. I was always the worker. I was doing stuff. I was helping out. I didn't have time to boss other people around because I was trying to do my job as best as I could, help other people with their job. And so I kind of forgot what the question was, to be honest. I'm just rambling right now.
That's all right. Well, where were the moments when faith directly shaped how you approach leadership, discipline, and decision-making?
Yeah. So to be a leader in the Army, I'm not saying I would have to lose my faith, give that up. But part of it was I found it far easier to practice my faith while not being a leader. So I actually kind of gave up that leadership and focused more on letting someone else lead in the military role. And I'm just going to help people. I'm going to lead them towards God by helping them out, because I think I can do this better without leading, actually.
Okay.
So it wasn't so much that it shaped what I did. It was more it shaped what I did not do.
Gotcha. Now, the thing is, though, even though you said, maybe I wasn't so much a leader in the way that you're thinking about it, the really cool thing is we get to graduation, and you did graduate in the top of your class. And so that was a pretty cool thing. So if you want to maybe tell us what was involved in that.
I kind of finagled my way into that one, just snuck in there. Basic training, the way they decide who the honor graduate is, they have this little board and they do a review. And there's 4 platoons that do basic training together, and one member from each platoon goes to this board. So the whole platoon has to select one person.
Okay.
And I just kind of snuck my name in there where I could. I was like, I'd be talking to somebody and be like, yeah, I think I'm going to try. I'm going to start studying all my material. I'm going to try and be the honor grad. And they're like, oh, okay. Just didn't register much at that point. But then when it came time to select that one guy from the platoon, everybody's like, well, Marintzer over there has been studying this whole time. He can. And our drill sergeant, we were taking a while to decide. And our drill sergeant goes, hey, who's going to win? And everybody's like, well, he's got the best chance. So they let me do it, and I won.
Fantastic. Way to go. Oh, that is great. We're talking with Caleb Marintzer here, talking about his time as serving in the military so far. He went through basic training, went through AIT, which we'll get to in a little bit. And we're also talking about the crossover with that and our Catholic faith. So I also want to thank everybody who has donated. Heil and Ann Huguenin, they pledged $200, and that gave us a $400 pledge. I think we are down to $750 left in matching funds. Oh, actually, I think that may have been before or after. I don't know, but somewhere close. We're either at $550 or $750 in matching funds. Let's see if we can get those used up. If you want to call in and just say, hey, what's left? Can I cover it? That would be awesome. 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. And we're going to get another question here in just a little bit. But first, we want to get back to talking with Caleb about the tie between the faith, serving the country, and what that looks like when you put them together. So, Caleb, what role did chaplains or Catholic communities on base play in your spiritual life? And did you ever experience the sacraments in unusual or memorable settings while at training?
One big thing with that question is I remember first time I went to mass on base thinking that my life just got flipped upside down. And I said, I was actually praying. I was like, Lord, they just messed everything up. Please don't let them mess this up. If one thing's the same, I want it to be the mass. Just keep this the same. And it was. I was worried like maybe they'd do something kind of, to use a Father Fred term, happy clappy. But they didn't. It was the mass, and it was exactly as I've always experienced it. I had a friend from, I'd say more an acquaintance from China go with me who had no idea what was going on. He wasn't Catholic, and he tried to receive the Eucharist. So we got into a little scramble there. Got that problem solved, though, where everybody turned out okay. And so just little odds and ends there. On the chaplain side of thing, the nice thing about military chaplains is they really get their name out there because they are the only people in the entire Army that do not have mandatory reporting because of confession, basically. They treat all chaplains like a Catholic priest, even though they're not. There's all kinds of chaplains from almost every religion, but they all have the same. They don't have to report anything you tell them. And so they get a really good rep, and people go to them for everything. And so nice thing is that the chaplains are always there. The not so nice thing is that they are also military chaplains. And so when you tell them, Father, I'm extremely homesick, is there something you can do to help me? They look at you and tell you, suck it up, you're at basic training. They say, are you okay? Are you going to hurt yourself? And if you say no, they're like, okay, you're fine. Get out of here. It's like, okay.
Okay. Gotcha. So I do have to say, as a parent, one of the cool things is there are some websites. There was a group that we joined on Facebook so that we could see things. And obviously, Karen, my wife, Caleb's mom, would pour over that. I think she looked through like 190 pictures one time trying to find where's Caleb where. And, just a motherly thing. She's able to like, oh, that one's Caleb. I'm like, are you sure? I mean, because you guys all look the same. You all have the same haircut, got face paint on. And she's like, no, that's Caleb putting on face paint right there. And that was pretty cool. But also one of the really neat things is one time there was posted a video, and it was a video of some guys in the military who were they were being the altar servers, carrying up the cross, and Karen goes, that's Caleb, so she got all excited about it. But Caleb, you always served here. Was it kind of cool being able to, be the cross bearer and serve while you were in the military?
That was the coolest thing I did there. That was awesome. Looking back on the video, I was like, yeesh, I look that bad. But I really don't care because it was just cool. I mean, I'm literally doing the mission. Jesus told us, lay down. The best thing you can do is lay down your life for a friend. That's literally what I'm doing. I'm not necessarily, kind of, because I took 5 months out of my life to serve everybody else in this country. And I really don't like bringing that up because it sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not.
It's okay.
It's just the truth behind it. So I did kind of lay down my life, but at the same time, I'm giving my life to God. I'm serving at the altar. I'm serving the people God put in my life. I'm doing it all at once. It's like, my life is fulfilled right there. I don't want to drop dead, but it wouldn't be a bad spot to do
it. That's a really cool insight, man. And thank you very much for it. Also, I want to thank Louie and Allison Ochoa. There we go. Nice job. Thank you, Louie and Allison. Great family, great people. Allison, she works at the college. She also works part-time for St. Joseph's. She actually works more than part-time. She's considered part-time, but she works her tail off. I get to work closely with her in our faith formation programs, and it is a blessing to be able to work with Allison. So thank you, Allison and Louie. We appreciate you. Allison also is part of our board of directors. So I get to sit here in meetings with her too. And she's one of those voices of reason. She's one of those voices that is able to keep us on track and say, well, have we looked at it this way? And so thank you so much, Allison, for everything you also do on the board. We want to ask that if you would be able to prayerfully consider joining with Louie and Allison Ochoa. They gave $250. That's getting us really, really close to using up our matching funds. Let's see if we can get those taken care of in the next 10 minutes. Call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. We're going to do a little bit more with Caleb, and then we'll get to our second trivia question. So just hang on. Okay, Caleb, you talked earlier a little bit about, I met all kinds of people there, Muslims. I don't know. Did you meet any Jewish people or?
I don't remember meeting anybody that was Jewish.
Okay, but Buddhists and all kinds of walks of life. So how do you find fellowship with other Catholics, Christians in the military? And then also, can you give us insight into some of those discussions you did have with people who aren't Catholic?
Yeah. Well, part of it was when I first got there, the first friends I found, one of them was a very, very devout. I got a curious story about him, but he was a very devout, like non-denominational Christian.
Okay.
Wanted to grow up to be a preacher. Great guy from Texas, heavy Southern accent. But anyway, the other guy I met was a Baptist that I mentioned, jiu-jitsu guy. I was a wrestler, so we had a couple matches. And they ended iffy. I won one, he won four, that kind of thing. But and I loved having debates with the guys. They asked me, the Baptist especially, he's like, there's two things I cannot wrap my head around. He said, one is confession. Like, why do you guys tell a priest and all of your sins? And he also didn't like the idea of the Pope so much, per se. He said, like, why in a free religion would you have like a monarch, basically? Somebody up above? Yeah. And I went into the whole God is pure, but humans are fallible kind of thing. And I went into all that with him. But his biggest thing he didn't understand was Mary. Understandably so. Yeah. Like, I can see how that gets confusing. And I talked for hours with him about Mary and all of the stuff that goes with that. And I didn't meet any other Catholics until probably the third Sunday I was there. And then I realized, like, I'm going to mass with the same group of guys. Maybe we should start hanging out and talk. And they were pretty cool guys. I talked to most of them. And when we split up after basic training, we graduate, we split up, we all go our separate ways for AIT. And most of them, they went to other places, but then I would still see them at mass on Sunday and we'd talk again. And it was great. So it's just, yeah, and that's all I got, really.
Okay. Here, one of my friends, Richard Dortzweiler, sent me this. I got a message that said, check your phone. Is that the prayer or is it a different one? And I'll let you look at that for just a second.
That's exactly.
All right. We're going to let Caleb maybe pray that here at the end then. But I also want to say that we have $300 left in matching funds, besides the messages that are saying, Cody, check your phone. Sorry, I'm doing a job. We've got $300 left in matching funds, but also thank you, Richard Dortzweiler, for listening and for sending that text. We're going to be able to pray that later. Way to save our rear, Rich. 785-621-4110. If you would like to pledge, we've got $300 left. Does somebody want to call in and say, I will take care of it? 785-621-4110. And let's get to our second question. So this, once again, 16 years of age and under. Let's go. Yeah, it's not you anymore. 785-621-4110. Of the 10 commandments, which comes fourth? Is it A, honor thy father and thy mother, B, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. C, thou shalt not commit adultery. Or D, that you shall not have false gods before me. Out of the 10 commandments, which comes forth? A, honor thy mother and thy father. B, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. C, thou shalt not commit adultery. D, you shall not have false gods before me. By the way, I would say look them up in the Catholic form, because there are differences. Sometimes the Protestant churches put them in a different order. So that's the order. We would be going by the Catholic order. 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. Also, call that number for that pledge. If you would like to use up all $300, that would be great. If you can't give that much, but you can only give 100, that would be great. If you can only give 50, whatever you can do, 785-621-4110. Let's get back to talking with Caleb Marintzer about the serving God and country. All right, Caleb. So did you ever, or I guess, did your understanding of service, sacrifice, duty deepen as you were in the service through your Catholic lens? We talked a little bit about that earlier, but is there anything you wanted to add to it?
Not terribly. The biggest thing was it's just a huge reality check. Like, especially you go and watch like movies, like old war films and military movies, and you see like you see the main hero of the story usually. I go and watch those now, and I watch all the guys on the side, all the side characters, the guys that die first, and that hits home hard. And so it's just like, I don't really know how to put it into words. It's just one of those things where perspective has changed a lot.
Okay.
And I start realizing those details of the people that are serving kind of behind the screen, behind the whatever you want to call it. I can't think right now.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just a big reality check. Helps you realize those things that you never realized before.
So are there things too in your faith that you really realize too, that like, hey, maybe you didn't take them for granted or anything like that, but they've become more rich or become more visible, or some of those things that maybe did used to be behind the scenes a little bit that you notice more?
Not terribly per se. There was, I mean, it was just, like I said, like I had to actually start putting my faith into practice, especially during AIT. They have a rule there where you have the buddy system. You cannot go anywhere by yourself. And so I had to have a buddy to go with me to mass. If I did not have a buddy, I couldn't go to mass. And there was one weekend where nobody would go with me, and that hurt. And but because I was the only one there that wanted to go, and I knew there was other Catholics there. And so it's just one of those things where this is my faith now. It's no longer my parents. I'm not being forced to do this. I have to do something myself. I have to take it upon myself.
Yeah. So also, while you're in AIT or in basic training, and maybe actually let's do backup. What is AIT? Because we keep saying that, and until you were in, I had no idea what you were talking about. So can you give people an understanding of what we mean?
So AIT is Advanced Individual Training. So many acronyms in the Army. What it is right after basic training, you have a job. You sign up, you enlist, you have a job. Some people are lucky and they pick jobs with bonuses. I wasn't one of those. I missed my money. But so my job specifically was CBRN. It's chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear weapons of mass destruction in layman's terms. So I went to school for 9 weeks basically to study everything I could about chemical weapons, biological weapons, the fun stuff. When I talk about AIT, that's kind of just the rundown. It's our special job training we do after basic training.
Okay, so in basic training or in AIT, did you ever face any misunderstandings, indifference, pushback because of your Catholic beliefs?
So I love this story. I mentioned that kid from Texas earlier, a friend of mine, very, very devout in his faith, not Catholic, Christian, and we got to talk, and especially as we got closer to basic training graduation, and he has a girlfriend. And he's talking about how he loves her so much, but then he starts talking about some things that he wants to do with his girlfriend, which I will not say right now. But
thank you.
And he starts talking about some of this stuff, and I looked at him, I said, "Hey, wait a minute. You love your faith, right?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "What is the number one thing you want for your girlfriend?" And he sat and think, and I said, "Do you think you want her to go to heaven? Is that the number one thing you want?"
Wow.
And he said, "Well, yeah, I don't see why not." And I said, "But what you're saying right here is you're going to drag her away from heaven." And he got ticked. He was not happy that I was telling him that, because he was like very angry, yelling at me. He's like, "All I want is for my girlfriend to go to heaven, and you're telling me right here that I'm tearing her away from Jesus by doing this." And this kid's had a rough life. He's seen way more than I have, and done some things, and he's just a hurt kid. He's a good guy, and I pray for him daily. But yeah, he was not happy that I was telling him, but it was the truth, and I couldn't back down. I wouldn't back down, and I was like, "Hey, if this tears us apart, it tears us apart. I don't care, because you got to hear this. Somebody's got to tell you." So that was quite interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
experience that in Hays, Kansas.
Wow. No kidding. Were there any other moments where, I mean, obviously you had some of those conversations with, I mean, that's a pretty big one to be able to have to stand up and be like, all right, dude, this is going to be tough, but what you're saying is morally wrong. So thank you for that, because that's a good example for all of us. But were there other things too that you think of at all when you were like, this is where I really had to stand up for my faith, and say, no, this is how it is?
In kind of a fun way, actually. I was really good friends with an atheist, and he would randomly ask me, because he enjoyed the debates too. He'd walk up to me and be like, "Hey, Marintzer," and I say, "Yeah." He goes, "Should we have another Jesus talk?" I said, "If you want, we go." And he's the most stubborn guy I've ever met. I enjoyed hanging out with him, but arguing with him is like arguing with a brick wall. You get nowhere. But I just enjoyed it, and he challenged me pretty good. He had some pretty good points that he challenged me with, and I answered them to the best of my ability. He just followed Catholic teaching, answered them, and he wouldn't hear any of it. But it was fun to just kind of argue those. I honestly enjoyed it, arguing those
Absolutely.
points.
Well, and maybe later in life, that's one of those things where he's like, maybe I ought to rethink this.
Mhm.
So yeah, congratulations on doing that. Good job. Thank you for being here. We are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Gospel. We're talking with Caleb Marintzer about being in the military and the Catholic faith and where that kind of overlaps with each other. If you would like to help us out, please call 785-621-4110. We have only $300 left in matching funds. That's 785-621-4110. Also, we only have about 15 minutes left. That's 15 minutes to use up those matching funds. 785-621-4110. I also am going to check here and see if we got a winner to the trivia question. If we did not get a winner, we will ask that again. So let me find out if we got a winner, and I'll jump back in here in just a minute. Back to talking with Caleb Marintzer about the tie between the Catholic faith, his time in the military so far, and what it has looked like. So, Caleb, how did those challenges, especially with that young man, trying to tell him like, hey, if you want to go to heaven, if you want your girlfriend to go to heaven, you got to stop talking like this. So how has that shaped your spiritual maturity or resilience?
Part of it, the thing I really liked about the Army is that it made me stop caring about things. Not in a bad way. I just completely stopped caring about what the world thought.
Awesome.
So I am perfectly happy to tell it to your face. If it's the truth, this is how it is. This is how it's going to be. And if you don't like it, too bad. And that's just how I am now. And I like that. I used to be high school. My friends would mess around. They'd do things they weren't supposed to. And I just kind of fade into the background. I wouldn't join in, but I wouldn't do anything myself. But now I'll call him an idiot. I called my best friend an idiot the other day because he did something dumb, and it's just how it is now.
No, I think that is a good trait to have. Got thicker skin, able to just tell people how it is, and you know what? They're gonna think what they think. I want to congratulate Anthony Brown. He is our trivia winner. That's a son of Jackie and Eric Brown. Jackie also is a good friend and works really hard over at IHM. That is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for listening, and we'll get you put into that drawing for a gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. Actually, I guess I should read that. It was asking basically, what's the fourth commandment? Honor your father and your mother. Nice job on that. Way to go, Anthony. And keep listening, keep donating. We do have just a few minutes left, about 15, 10, somewhere in there, because then we're going to draw some prizes. But we want to get our matching funds used up. If there's somebody out there that can call in and say, I can take care of that $300, call 785-621 4110, or if you can give 50 towards it, 100 towards it, whatever you can give, 785-621-4110. Look at that. That number has not changed all week. 785-621-4110. All right, Caleb, let's jump back into it here for just a little bit. So a couple of things that maybe we can cover. And one of them is, if you were to speak to young Catholics considering military service, what wisdom would you offer them? Whether that is, hey, it's going to be scary. Hey, take your time, or hey, just jump in. No matter what it is, what would you say to them?
Yeah. Part of it is don't worry about it. Just go for it. If you, well, one thing, if you're enlisted, you're in anyway. It doesn't matter.
You're going.
But those, like I mentioned a while ago, those 2 weeks leading up to it that I was terrified. I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't function. I mean, I talked to my family. I would talk to my friends as much. I think my friends got fed up with me because I was texting them all the time because I just needed somebody there. So find God before you go. I had a decent faith life, but it really kicked in after. If you find him before, all of that worry, all of that, it won't be a big deal. You'll just be able to shrug it off, say, okay, I got this. I got the most powerful person ever at my back. So, yeah, find God before you leave, not after.
That's some great advice. Also, I do want to break in here and say, Mike and Lori Hurdle, thank you very much from Mike and Lori and Hurdle Oil Company. They put us over the top with that $300 pledge. I wonder if we still have a bell. Caleb, look at those really quickly. If we have a bell, I'm going to ring the bell. They got rid of it years ago, I guess, because they said they got tired of hearing it. And then at one point, I found out they just hit it. Oh, there it is. Absolutely. There's the bell ringing. We used up our matching funds. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't still take donations, because we're not quite at the complete number of $125,000. But look at what all of you wonderful donors have done. We had so many wonderful people and businesses that donated matching funds for us. We had so many people throughout this week who called in and donated. We have people donating their time, their prayers, their funds, and we have used up the matching funds. We do still have 10 minutes left, though. So if you still want to call in, 785-621-4110. Once again, though, there's that bell for using up those matching funds. They should probably hide that better from me. 785-621-4110, and we will continue taking those funds. We will continue shedding a light in the darkness. Getting back to talking with Caleb Marintzer, talking about serving God and country. All right. So, Caleb, you've graduated through basic training, graduated AIT. First, maybe what was the coolest thing you did in AIT?
The live nerve agent chamber.
So what was that like? I think that's when you told mom and dad, like, don't worry, I'll be okay.
Yeah, I was. Nobody's died there yet. It is potential because it's a nerve agent. What it does is it shuts down every muscle in your body. Actually, no, I take that back. What it does is it super hyper activates every muscle in your body, basically. So you go into a seizure, your lungs seize up, so you can't breathe. Not to scare anybody, but it kills you very painfully. And so they put some of that in the lab for us, and they said, go find it. Go find out what it is. Come back and tell us.
Wow.
And so they had us in full protective gear. It wasn't much fun in there. it's really cool to say that I got to go do that. But our gas masks were on so tight it was giving me a splitting headache. But we couldn't tell anybody that because then they'd pull you out. But so that was really cool to say. There's kind of some prayers in there too. Lord, please get me out of here safely.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah,
what was it like going through the gas chamber?
oh, that's just fun. I love the gas chamber. A lot of people hate it. I'm a chemical guy. I'm supposed to like it. But I especially love it because you get the stories of like the fictional stories of there's that bully that's big and mean and he bullies other kids, but the minute somebody fights back, he's all of a sudden in tears and he can't take one hit. Gas chamber is kind of like that. There's the cool kids around that they're tougher than everybody else, but they go through that gas chamber and they ain't so tough anymore.
Kind of puts you in your place, huh?
And I've gone through it 3 times now, between basic and AIT. I also had a traumatic experience with a CS grenade. CS gas is what they put in it's tear gas that they put in the gas chamber. Drill sergeant threw a tear gas grenade at me during one of our training events twice. So I've been hit with tear gas 5 times now.
Okay.
So I can kind of handle it. It's actually, you get used to it after a little bit. Still not fun, but I don't come out spitting and crying anymore.
And what is it like when you go through it? What symptoms does it give you?
It's like if you took a hot pepper, you cut it up, you took that juice and you drip the juice in your eyes, and then you rub the juice all over your skin, and then you ate that pepper.
That sounds fantastic. Actually, I want to try it. I hope I can sometime just because I'm an idiot. But it does sound like one of those things that I just want to see if I can handle it. And you come out spitting and coughing and
yeah, it gets in your lungs real good. What tear gas is actually it's the same compound as glass. And so it's like a bunch of microscopic glass shards are hitting you actually. And you can't breathe very well, and you're coughing. A couple people throw up. Yeah, it's fun to watch.
But in the end, it made you tougher. All right, I want to thank a relative of Father Fred Gatchett. I don't know who it is. That's all I have. A relative of Father Fred Gatchett who pledged $100, getting us even closer to that final goal of $125,000. We have just a few minutes left, but we'll take your donations any time of the year. This is just one of the 2 times where we do our special fund drives because we are completely listener funded. We have our donors who donate during this. We have our the folks who own businesses and they are underwriters with us, and that's how we are able to make it through the year through these donations, through our underwriters. So we want to thank all of you who are our underwriters. We want to thank all of you who do donate, and we appreciate that so much. If you want to continue donating, or if you haven't and you want to start now, 785-621-4110, 785-621-4110. And here in just a few minutes, we are going to have our drawing. So I'm going to ask them right now, when are you coming in? All right, Caleb, in the last few moments that we have, all right, obviously, basic training, AIT, it's been good for you. What qualities do you think you brought back from that experience that you're going to be able to take with you in life?
Well, like I mentioned, I'm tougher now. I can take some things. I don't care as much about what other people think, so that's nice. I can tell you the truth, and I'm not afraid to do it. To a limit, I'll say that. And other than that, I'm kind of like a lot of my friends were talking to me, and they're like, "I kind of expect you to come back like completely different." And yeah, I really didn't change all that much. I stayed who I was. I just, in a way, became more me.
Okay. Wow.
Which might not be a good thing for the world.
We'll see. What do Marintzers do when they grow up and hit the world? God's got some great plans. All right. Now then, as we get ready to bring people in here to do the drawing, what are your plans? Where are you going from here?
Well, tomorrow I got to go into work. So I got the National Guard. I work 1 weekend every month, 2 weeks in the summer. And then January I'm going to college. So yeah, I got at least stuff lined up for the next 4 years. then
Okay.
from there we'll see where we go.
Fantastic. And if you wanted to, could we read this prayer? And obviously, we don't have to do the Our Father, the Hail Mary, the Glory Be, but I do want people to hear the prayer that you said really carried you through
Absolutely,
things.
yeah. Shall we? In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
O Saint Joseph, whose protection is so great, so strong, so prompt before the throne of God, I place in you all of my interests and desires. O Saint Joseph, do assist me by your powerful intercession, and obtain for me from your divine Son all spiritual blessings, through Jesus Christ our Lord, so that, having engaged here below your heavenly power, I may offer my thanksgiving and homage to the most loving of fathers. O Saint Joseph, I never weary of contemplating you, and Jesus asleep in your arms. I dare not approach while he reposes near your heart. Press him in my name, and kiss his fine head for me, and ask him to return the kiss when I draw my dying breath. Saint Joseph, patron of departing souls, pray for me. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Wow, that's a beautiful prayer. And now I know why it carried you through.
Mhm.
Caleb, thank you so much for being here, man. I am blessed that you're my oldest son. I'm blessed that you're here with us, and thank you for closing out such a wonderful carathon. We're gonna maybe bring the guys in. You can stay in here
Absolutely. Yeah.
as
I can
they
get out of the way.
get ready to draw. No, because they probably need someone to draw, or do you have someone to draw?